What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Off the Bench with my co-host Scotty in the building. We're gonna jump right into this one. It's been a great week. Been a great couple of games. To start this one off, we got Philly versus Dallas. What do you have to say about that one, brother?
Exactly how I called it. Dallas just outmatched from the jump. Had a lead though. They did have a lead in this game, but I never once believed that they were going to win until that last drive. CeeDee Lamb dropping that football. Very un-Pro Bowler, very un-franchise wide receiver of him being the workhorse all night, no less. 7 receptions, 110 yards, 13 targets, was Dak's security blanket, and dropped the ball when it mattered. A 24-20 finish in that game. Let's go over the stats real quick. Dak Prescott did not play lights out, but played like a franchise quarterback, coming back from having his season ended with an injury. 21 of 34, 188 yards, no touchdowns, but no turnovers. I think that's really big. Two 50-yard rushers, Miles Sanders, 4 for 53, no touchdowns. Javonte Williams, 15 for 54 yards, 2 touchdowns. The brunt of the offense going between CeeDee Lamb, Miles Sanders, and Javonte Williams. For the Cowboys, you want to break down the Eagles for us?
The Eagles, man, they showed up. They showed out. I know that I have to give credit where credit is due. Now, being that I am wearing this shirt, I hate to see either team win. Like I told you before we started, I hope they both lose.
Absolutely, I was hoping for it.
But as I always say, I have two favorite teams: the Washington Commanders and anybody playing the Dallas Cowboys. So it's always good to see Dallas lose. But going over the stats for this one, Jalen Hurts was 19 for 23. No passing touchdowns, no passing interceptions. He did have 14 carries for 62 yards and 2 touchdowns. Just a force to be reckoned with on the ground. And his top receiver was Jahan Dotson, 3 receptions, 59 yards. An old Commander. They didn't do too bad in this one. They did really well, and the only issue that I really had was not having A.J. Brown get anything, which was really weird for me because he is a top receiver. He's a top guy, and I didn't really see any reason to not give him the ball in that game other than just, him taking it and then running with it.
Yeah, to quote a longtime Commander, he got a lot of cardio last night. That's a quote from Terry McLaurin in 2023. On running routes all night and being empty on yards. A.J. Brown, a lot of cardio. Jahan Dotson, let's establish this. 51 of his yards came from a single pass.
Yeah,
right down the middle.
He did really well last night. Or the other night. He showed up. He showed out.
Yeah,
no
100%.
Complaints there.
Playing ball. Stagnant offenses as far as the passing game goes. Both teams cracking the 100-yard mark in rushing. Not surprised there. More surprised that, and I think this needs addressed, that there was an ejection before the game even started.
Oh my goodness.
Let's talk about this. Let's talk about Dak Prescott spitting in the direction of Jalen Carter. Supposedly made eye contact with him. The video looks like he made eye contact and a little smirk at him.
100%, man. He looked at him. He looked at him, gave him a nod, like, "What's up? What you gonna do about it?" and smiled. Nah, and football is probably one of the bigger ego sports. You're out there, especially offense, defense. You're out there to get crushed, and that Dak spit first, and the only difference is Jalen Carter walked up, talked his smack, and spit on him because he's a big guy. What are you gonna do? You ain't going to do nothing but sit there. Unfortunate that he got put out of the game so quick. But, rules are rules. I think that it is well within the NFL's rights. I think that it should be issued a fine at least. Because the game's over. Can't fix it now. I think Dak should be at least given a fine after all the details are worked through. I know Dak said some stuff like I wasn't trying to spit on him. I spit 100 times during the game. I didn't want to spit on my lineman. Like, you can spit down in front of you. But so explain the spit, looking up, smiling, and nodding at him. Like, you knew what you were doing. You knew he would retaliate about it. So don't give me that.
And playing in Philly, no less. Like, it's the disrespect was all around both sides. I won't take either side in this. Dak, obviously, at fault as well. Jalen just happened to spit in front of two officials on the quarterback of the Dallas Cowboys, Dak Prescott.
The one guy that everyone's watching.
And that to me was the nail for Jalen, and I think that was a huge detriment. Do I think Dallas performs the way that they do on the ground if Jalen Carter's in that game? No. I think that was almost a detriment to his team. But they gutted out a nice win. Jake Elliott doing Jake Elliott things, hitting a 58-yard field goal.
I do want to touch on this, the fact that a healthy Eagles team only won by 4 points, and the fact that the Cowboys defense did fairly decent without Micah Parsons the other night. And I was surprised that the score was what it was, that it was even that close. I was 1 point off from my prediction of 21-24. Or no, that was for today. That was for last night's game. I thought that there would be a bigger gap for this Dallas game. I think I had it 28-17 maybe. And I mean Dallas. I mean they came in and said, hey, if you look back at the game, CeeDee Lamb catches those halftime catches and those catches after halftime. That game's a lot closer, for sure. And yeah, man. I mean, I was really stunned that defense did what it came to do.
Yeah, absolutely. Big time performances by both defenses. The Cowboys defense outperformed what I think a lot of people were expecting, having a banged up Diggs, having a D-line that no longer contains Micah Parsons. I feel like they outperformed the expectation. I had that game slated at 31-21. It was close to the score. I did think that there would be at least another touchdown gap there. So a good game all the way around, though. You can tell it's week one. They're getting back into the flow of regular season play. It's been a long off season. 7 months since they've last played football. So it was a good gutty win by the Eagles. Congrats to them.
And
turn around and do it again next week.
And it's also insane because in a night where you have a guy that's missing from your defense like Micah Parsons and a banged up cornerback in Trayvon Diggs, you held Saquon Barkley to 60 yards when in your last meeting with Micah Parsons, he had like 167 yards in that game on his way to his 2,000-yard mark.
2,005 yards, yes.
So for me, I know that it is an 0-1 start for Dallas, but you have some positives here that you were able to contain the NFL's number one and voted among his peers. in Saquon Barkley. You held him to 60 yards to the point where the quarterback had more yards than he did. Not by much. It was only 62 yards over 14 carries, and Saquon Barkley had 18 yards over 60 carries and a touchdown. But it's just not that's not Saquon Barkley numbers for sure, especially against a defense that's a little banged up and a little missing Micah. But they did really good. So I would watch film. I would go back and I don't know, maybe put some glue on CeeDee Lamb's hands. Which I also think that the weather delay really did a number on that. I think if the game went through regulation as normal, which they had lightning issues, so that's fine. But I think if
8 miles of the stadium.
Right, I think if you play that game all the way through, I think that it would have been closer, maybe a higher scoring. But to pull a team like the Eagles off the field as soon as they get a fumble recovery, it just destroys momentum. Weather delays are known to just completely ruin a team's drive, especially for as long as theirs was. I think the weather delay ended up being like an hour, so that's an hour longer than you have to be there, and you're getting stiff. And they're only giving you 12 minutes to warm back up. So, yes, these are NFL caliber men, but they still have to get ready. And for you to go out like that, I just feel like that you're mentally going home. You know what I mean? But I think that game is a little closer without the weather delay. I think CeeDee Lamb maybe even catches a couple more passes than he did, but it is what it is. Great showing, again, for the defense. Great showing on offense. If Dak can just get to passing to other people. I know Cavante Turpin had 18 yards. A few other guys had a few yards, nothing major. But, I don't know, it was a good game. Good game to watch. I like close games. They're funner to watch than a blowouts. Dog.
I absolutely had a good time reviewing the film after that game. I'm with you. I think an hour-long weather delay, especially being after halftime, kills just it makes both teams stagnant. I think it's very rough, rocky. It doesn't bode well for either team. But
Absolutely.
we are moving on to our Friday night game. In our upset, both of us called this upset.
Yep.
And the score was very close for both of us. The Los Angeles Chargers defeated the Kansas City Chiefs 27-21 in Sao Paulo, Brazil.
And
what did you think about that game?
Talk about a rocky start for one of the league's greater teams. First play of the game, Travis Kelce, I don't know if he misreads it. I don't know if he gets pushed into him, but just blows over Xavier Worthy, and he's out for the game. The very first play of the game. I think it was but overall, outside of that, man, I think it was a really good game. Another fun, close game to watch. Patrick Mahomes showing why he's not one to be, talked out of the conversation of winning even after halftime. Because, again, it was a 27-21 win. It was not like they came out, the Chargers came out there and just blew him out of the water. But it's just a team that you definitely don't see act like that. The receiver core hurt already, and then with Xavier Worthy going down, even less targets to throw to that you actually trust to catch it. And then your running backs, I think Isaiah Pacheco was in the game briefly, I believe. The I can't think of his backup's name, but he was in the game most of the game. So I think they're having, they need to find their groove with the running game, especially with all the injuries in the wide receiver room. So and I don't know. I think like I said, it was a good game, but there's a lot that needs to happen there for sure.
Let's discuss these stats for the Chiefs really quickly. Not a bad game. Outperformed both Thursday night quarterbacks. Did Patrick Mahomes 24 of 39, 258 yards and a touchdown, no turnovers. Hollywood Brown, 10 receptions, 99 yards. Obviously, Pat's favorite target for the night. Juju Smith-Schuster, 5 for 55. Travis Kelce, all reliable. 2 catches, 47 yards, and the touchdown. Patrick Mahomes leading the team in rushing yards.
That is so.
Yards,
that's so rare too. That is rare. You don't ever want to see a guy like that have to run 57 yards. Yes, he can do it, but that guy made that franchise what it is today. Not him alone, but I mean that was the big turning point. So you definitely won't want to see a guy like that have 1,000 yards rushing at the end of the season. So, like I said, you got to figure out something there.
Yeah, for sure. Isaiah Pacheco and Kareem Hunt, his backup, combining for 41 yards, no touchdowns, and about a 4-yard average there. Flipping to the other side, my boy, the Oregon Duck, Justin Herbert, 25 of 34, 318 yards, 3 touchdowns. He looked really good. Looked really, really good. And speaking of people who looked really good, in his homecoming, coming back out to the West Coast, Keenan Allen, 7 targets, 68 yards, and a touchdown in his return to the Chargers. Feel-good story. You love to see a long-time guy get back home and immediately have a connection, have an impact. Omarion Hampton, 15 carries, 48 yards. Herbert, 32 yards on the ground. Super rare to see. Not so much of a surprise. Najee Harris only getting 1 touch for 5 yards there. Quentin Johnson showing out in this game.
Quentin Johnson did a hell of a job. I really liked watching him play. A lot of big plays, and that man right there has some hands. Let me tell you. I mean, some of the catches he had to make last night was amazing.
Yeah, absolutely. Quentin Johnson winning a lot of people, a lot of money. If you're a sports bettor, I think his pool was $800 for an anytime touchdown. A lot of people walked away with a lot of spending cash on a free-to-play. So thank you, Quentin Johnson, to all of our sports bettors out there. But let's talk about that wide receiver room really quickly. Ladd McConkey, also 6 for 74. Obviously, Keenan Allen. Those are big production from your first 3 wide receivers on the depth chart. You love to see that. It shows continuity against one of the league's better defenses as well. I know they have a lot of hype out there in Kansas City for that defense. Obviously, still just star-studded. But the Chargers, they went in and not dominant on the ground, which I expected, and I think everyone else also expected. I didn't expect them to have 200 yards on the ground against the Chiefs, but I also did not expect 318 yards through the air. So overall, big-time performance by that offense, big-time performance by the Chargers defense, holding the Kansas City Chiefs, multiple-time Super Bowl champions in recent years. Like I said it at the beginning of the season. I said it on Wednesday. We are going to watch a change of the guard this season, and I think if the Chiefs do not get something going in that wide receiver room, and if they do not get something going at safety, I don't see them not only winning the AFC East, I don't see them finishing second place either, because that Denver Broncos team also looks really, really good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree. There's something I want to touch on here. The Teair Tart penalty. Somewhat similar situation to what we've seen with Jalen Carter, except there was no spit. It was an open hand smack to probably the league's favorite tight end. Travis Kelsey. Um,
Jason's retired.
yeah, and he's a little bit wider.
A little bit.
He was a lineman, but he open hand smacked him. All it was a penalty,
Hard.
15 more yards. Not even, yeah, it was not like a soft little slap. He smacked the heck out of him for sure. My question is, why no ejection?
So the big thing is, I think because it was an open hand. That's what the NFL's explanation is. That's what Jason LaCanfora and Adam Schefter have both alluded to in their explanation of this. I even think Peter Schrager this morning on Get Up said the exact same thing. The league breaks it down to it being in the game and it not being a closed hand, whereas spitting on someone is, by the principle, a much more disrespectful and dishonorable act.
Right.
And by law in a lot of the states in our wonderful nation is a crime. So
right.
I think that just the constitution behind spitting on someone versus pushing them or slapping them in the face, to me, I think both are ejection worthy simply because of all of the rules based around the head in NFL football now. I think that directly breaches that. But the NFL's explanation is it was open-handed, helmet in the game. That's basically what I'm hearing on the matter. That's the only reason it was not an ejection. It was just a 15-yard penalty.
Well, I agree with you. I think they both should be ejection worthy. Now, granted, I was an underdog in this. I had an underdog in this game as well. I had a 24-21 Chargers win. So it was good to see that one kind of come to fruition. Both games actually this week were they came in as exactly as we both predicted. One got away with a lot more for sure in the Dallas game. But let's talk about Quentin Johnson again. That guy acting like the first round draft pick that he was. I mean, just a major improvement in him. It was just amazing just to see. Like you said, five receptions, 79 yards, 15 yards average, almost 16 for 2 touchdowns. He is averaging over a first down a catch, which is amazing. And to have 5 receptions for 79 yards is insane. I feel like this Chargers team, it's a team that, you kind of have to start taking seriously.
I agree. Just to touch on that, if you look at the separation that Quentin Johnston was getting off of the line on both of his touchdowns, excellent footwork. Let's see here. I have an article pulled up here. A lot of people are attributing that to his offensive coordinator. Let me see here. I had his. I'll get back to that later. But his offensive coordinator, former player in the NFL, also coached a ton in college as well. But great footwork. I think having Keenan Allen back in that wide receiver room as well helps a ton. Ladd McConkey, he's just been him since he came out last year. I think being around great people makes you a great person. Having Keenan Allen's leadership, Quentin Johnson coming into his own, and I think he's about to have a crazy year. Do not be surprised if he cracks the 1,000-yard mark. Do not be surprised if he cracks 10 touchdowns. He's already 5th of the way there.
Yeah, I really liked watching him last night. He showed up, showed out, and he did what NFL players do. And, Keenan Allen did the same. It was good to see a familiar face in a familiar place, So,
Absolutely, absolutely. It was a lot of fun. Greg Roman is the offensive coordinator for the Los Angeles Chargers. 25-year coaching vet, 10 years as an offensive coordinator. Fantastic staff beneath him. Lots and lots of supplementing the passing game with the run game. So really nice to see him adjust because Greg Roman loves running the football. So a very nice adjustment by them. And a nice win overall as a team. I think that's a huge leg up to get one up on last year's AFC champion, the Kansas City Chiefs.
And the Super Bowl runner-up too.
Yes.
So.
All right. So we are moving right along. Since we have mentioned Keenan Allen and his return to the Los Angeles Chargers, let's talk about some extensions here. We will start with Zion McCollum, cornerback of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, landed himself a beautiful extension, well earned, by the way. Plays really, really good football. I have the exact terms here somewhere. 3-year extension, $37 million. $48 million, $37 million guaranteed. Unbelievable work by him over the past few years to earn such a contract. Played incredible last season. Incentive laden in the back end of his deal, so that is also really, really nice. I'm excited to see it for him. It's good to see Tampa Bay investing in their future. Young guy, only 26 years old. So we will see how that continues to turn out. We have this one very recent, Cam Hayward getting a pay raise, $3 million up to $18 million this year. He will be a go for their Week 1 game for the Steelers. That's good news for him. I know there's a contract extension that you've been waiting to talk about. I will turn this over to you for our guy, Terry McLaurin. You take it away for Scary Terry.
Terry McLaurin, man, you love to see a guy like that who is just a proud Washington Commander. He was a Commander. He was a Redskin. He was a Washington football team. Man's been through 3 name changes. He's been through 5 different starting quarterbacks. This is his first year getting a QB for 2 years in a row.
He has had 11 starting quarterbacks
11.
in his career.
Yeah, so he's had 11 starting quarterbacks in his career, and this is his first time getting 2 in a row. Now, that says a lot to what Washington's front office used to be. I almost thought, with the holdout and the hold in and the skipping the mandatory practices and all that stuff, I thought we were going to see the Washington front office fumble something else again. But nevertheless, they pulled through and paid our man Scary Terry. Mr. McLaurin made on his contract extension 3 years and $96 million. I believe 82 million? How much of that is guaranteed? There is
$44 million guaranteed.
There you go. $44 million is guaranteed in that. And it's well deserved. He's had 5 straight 1,000-yard seasons, and he had 13 touchdowns last season. And it just goes to show you that this team, this Washington front office, really likes their quarterback because of the chemistry that he has with Jaden Daniels. And it just further proves the point of them trying to build around Jaden Daniels and give him all the targets that he needs. Now, I understand the wait. I understand the time they took to do it. Terry McLaurin will be 30 if he has not already turned 30. He will be 30 this season. And at the end of his contract extension, he will be 34, I believe,
Yes,
just to
he
finish
turns
out the year.
30 He turns 30 on September 15th. He turns
So
31 during the season where his extension takes place.
he turns 30 just before his just after the second week of games, and so I get it. I get it. I know you have a lot of guys in there, and that's wrapping up some money in a guy who is getting old. And statistically speaking, guys like that decline after 30 years old. Now, this contract extension means a lot of things, but one thing I can tell you that it means is Scary Terry will play his butt off this season, and Jaden Daniels will absolutely love every minute of it.
Absolutely, absolutely. And according to my good friend Josh Taylor over at JTFB, Scary Terry is coming along faster than most people expected. A lot of people know he stayed in good football shape. He was catching footballs with high school and college teams while he was away from the team. He was showing up, doing walkthroughs, not participating fully, but he was out there still staying in football shape after team organized practices during his hold in. So he is coming along nicely. I think you have a chemistry like Jaden Daniels and Terry McLaurin. That doesn't just go away. Yes, there will be small hiccups, I do believe, especially on Sunday. We will get into that whenever we preview that game, but according to my guy, he's coming along way faster and way nicer than most people expected. Expect 1-17 to be absolutely horrifying this season.
Absolutely, I agree, man. I agree. So,
all right. So, let's do our Eyes On segment now. We are going to go to a breakdown of key games. There are some division games right off of the bat. We have Tampa Bay and Atlanta. We have Cincinnati and Cleveland. We have Washington and the Giants. There's San Francisco and Seattle. Minnesota and Chicago. And one key game that I want to touch on in specific. We have a clash of AFC powerhouses on Sunday night, the Baltimore Ravens and the Buffalo Bills. Let's start in Baltimore with that game.
That game is going to be one really good game. And like you said, two powerhouses. You got two teams who just absolutely... They're top teams in the league for sure. You got MVP... I can't remember. Yeah. Sorry. You got MVP Josh Allen in there in the mix. And it's just I can't wait to see that game for sure. It's gonna be one heck of a game. I think it's gonna be mostly an offensive game. Now both teams do have an amazing defense, but I just feel like they are. It's just gonna be a throwdown for sure.
For sure. A couple of mentions here. Out for the Baltimore Ravens, tight end Isaiah Likely, fullback Patrick Ricard. Those guys are out. Jair Alexander and Daniel Falele will play. Both of them. For the Bills, we have kicker Tyler Bass. He is out. Doubtful, Tre'Davious White probably will not play. Christian Benford, Khalil Shakir, Elijah Moore, and Keon Coleman will all go. So, good pieces to have. I think not having the likes of Isaiah Likely and Patrick Ricard are a little more weighty for the Ravens. Do I think Tre'Davious White makes a difference? Yes, I do. But having Keon Coleman and Elijah Moore in that wide receiver room as goes will make a difference. Kicker Matt Prater, formerly of the Ravens, will do the kicking for the Buffalo Bills on Sunday night.
You love a good revenge game, don't you?
Oh, yes.
We talked about that last week with a couple of revenge games coming up further in the season. We'll touch on those when they get there. But you got, in the Buffalo, or not the Buffalo Bills, in the Baltimore Ravens, you have guys like Lamar Jackson, Derrick Henry, Zay Flowers, Mark Andrews, who is regarded as one of the top tight ends in the league. Those guys, for sure, are going to show up, show out. You've got Kyle Hamilton, who just got his extension as well. And then you have, for the Buffalo Bills, you got guys like Josh Allen. You got guys like James Cook at running back. A new ad this year, Joey Bosa is on that defensive line, who is for sure going to make waves, as well as Tre'Davious White, Dalton Kincaid. I mean, these are all top-notch players. Damar Hamlin, who is a fantastic safety. I think this, like I said, I think this game is going to shape up to be a really good one. It's definitely a must-watch game for sure. I like the way that this game is shaping up, and it's nice to see two powerhouse teams like that go head-to-head at the beginning of the season. Like what? Starting out that heavy?
For sure. Now, their last meeting, between the Baltimore Ravens and the Buffalo Bills, let me see here. The Ravens took that game. It was September 29th of last year. The Ravens took that game 35-10. I do not think that is the case, but really quickly, before we get into predictions, one last contract extension I think we need to touch on since you did mention him by name. James Cook. Buffalo Bills, 4 years, $48 million, $30 million in guaranteed money. He's with the Bills through 2029.
And that's a good one too, man. He is just a mean running back. Give him the ball and watch out. He will do whatever is necessary to get through that line, get in that end zone. Fantastic running back for sure.
Oh yes, I trade for him every season on Madden. Like he is one of those dudes for me specifically.
Absolutely.
I enjoy him. It's going to be a good game. I have this game at 38-35 Buffalo. I love Lamar Jackson. I love Zay Flowers. I love that offense. I like Kyle Hamilton and that defense. I don't think that the Buffalo Bills can be stopped this season in the AFC. I think the only roster better in football is the Detroit Lions. And to me, it seems a lot like Coach Sean McDermott and those guys are wanting to put it all together this year. It's going to be a lot of fun to watch. 38-35 Bills for me in the Sunday night game.
I think it's going to be Bills taking home the win. I'm going to put a little closer because you just can't knock that defense. Yeah, there's some banged up guys, but I have it 38 or 35 30 for me. Just because you do have the Bills kicker who I know can put it through the uprights, man, and I just think that is going to be a game, like I said, just going to be a tough game for both sides. And I almost want to drop the score to something like 27-21, just because I know both of those teams are going to be rough, at each other's throats the entire game from the whistle. Now, I'm hoping that this isn't one of those games where, you get a lot of ejections and, just continue the pattern here. So hopefully nothing crazy like that happens. But moving on to another game that I would love and that I can't wait to see is the Giants-Commanders game. Now, the Commanders are notably healthy. No key players are missing on that roster. And you got a guy like Terry McLaurin. You got Austin Eckler. You got JD5, of course. You got these guys out there who are ready to just get after it on the first game, and it's a division game as well. Notably missing on the Giants, you have Andrew Thomas, left tackle. That's unfortunate because we just bolstered our defense pretty well, and it's going to be a key piece that's missing. Malik Neighbors I believe he is questionable at the moment. I think that they're still, working on him. I'm not sure how long it's going to take for him to come back in. But nevertheless, they have a newly added Russell Wilson in the mix. They have, even Neal. They have guys like Abdul Carter in the backfield or in the linebacker spot. Dexter Lawrence. They got key pieces on defense. They're definitely going to be one of those people who are just, again, it's going to be a tough game, but I think Washington pulls away real easy. I think it's going to be a tougher game for the Giants than the Commanders for sure, and that's with me trying my best to leave out the bias, because again, you got newly paid Terry McLaurin, you got newly added Deebo Samuel, and you got the lightning in the bottle, Bill Krosky Merritt, along with again newly added Von Miller. These guys are just, I love this team. I love this team. Now that might be biased. That might be a little biased.
That's not a bias. Every NFL analyst has said there may be a regression, but the team is absolutely lovely.
Yeah, absolutely, man. I love this team. Zach Ertz came back. Marshawn Lattimore. Mike Sanders still. Laramie Tunsil, who's a new ad as well. These guys, they are ready to show what Washington is worth, and I think Washington is worth a Super Bowl. That's what I think.
In this game, to me, the biggest loss on either side, tackle Andrew Thomas, doubtful for the game. He did have limited practice on Friday. It does not seem like he is a go. Malik Neighbors trending in the right direction. There is a very good possibility he plays, a large portion of the offensive snaps, being out there with quarterback Russell Wilson. Everybody is available for the Commanders. They are fully healthy. Dorrance Armstrong, no designation. Noah Brown, you may see him rotating in and out. You will see him a lot rotating with Jalen Lane, I believe. That's who I see stepping in. You will have Luke McCaffrey stepping into that position in certain situations, but I think you'll see Jalen Lane get most of the split there. Cornerback Jonathan Jones, another new addition to this defense, healthy. I think there's a key piece on that defense that may have been slightly overlooked. Rookie cornerback Trey Amos. Been a stud all offseason. Coach Quinn, Coach Witt, they've had nothing but positive things to say all offseason. As a matter of fact, offensive coordinator Cliff Kingsbury said that he's been a nightmare to scheme for in practice and has picked off JD5 on multiple occasions in live simulations. So
who does that look better on? Hope. Does that look good on Trey Amos or does it look bad on JD5?
I think it looks good on Trey Amos because Jaden Daniels only turned the ball over 6 times last year.
Fair enough. But there is always that what do they call it? That sophomore something or another where they suck, which we both know is not going to hit. It's not going to hit JD5. It's not. All right. If you tell me that otherwise, unsubscribe. Leave me alone. Don't talk to me. We'll see you next season.
Here's why I think that the sophomore slump will not apply. And unlike the offense up there in Chicago, where head coach Ben Johnson is having to slow the offense down for Caleb Williams to see the field better and then bring him up to speed that way, Jaden Daniels has been in his VR headset all offseason, took a 2-week vacation in February, has been back at it all offseason in the VR at double speed reading NFL defenses. He's been working with his wide receivers in the offseason since the acquisition of Debo. They've been working together, working with Terry, working with Luke. Luke and Jaden work out a lot in the offseason.
Luke with the number change as well.
Yes, going to number 11, no longer
Yep.
number 12. Very interesting to see. I like it. I like the fact that he made the team. I think once he gets his chance to prove his grit on this team, he's going to live up to the McCaffrey name. Obviously, his dad
Let's hope.
Ed, longtime Denver Bronco, good friend of John Elway. That's really nice to see. I hope he gets to the potential that his brother has. I see how athletic and how football smart Luke McCaffrey is.
Let's just hope that Luke comes without the injuries as well. Let's hope he doesn't live up to that McCaffrey part of his name.
I mean, Ed was much tougher. I don't know. I think it's probably just having soft tissue damage from Stanford that has been really the damning thing for Christian in his NFL career. It's plagued him a lot. Right now, dealing with calf injury, but I have this feeling that the Giants are going to do the New York Giants things like they do in 99% of the games since 2005. They're going to hang around. They're going to be a nuisance. I don't believe that Russell Wilson and the guys get it done. They are coming to Washington. Their helmets back in the end zone. I think Northwest Mutual Stadium is going to be rocking. I think it's going to be a 31-17 victory by the Commanders. I have a lot of faith in this team. They had a better training camp than they had last year. Von Miller said this was his 15th training camp, and it was the best one he's ever experienced, and he is fired up to go. I think the defense outperforms the offense a little bit to get going. I'm also calling that in that 31-17 score, there's a defensive touchdown from somewhere.
I'm going to do you one better. I'm going to say 38-17, or even be a little more bolder, say 38-14, because, and that's not, I'm not taking shots at Giant fans. We love you guys all the same, even if you suck. But the thing is they're just, it's such a team that it's like they're pulling in every direction and they don't know which way to go. You know what I mean? So I feel like they're going to have an extremely slow start to the season. Russell Wilson at Denver didn't look the greatest.
Russell Wilson in Pittsburgh looked really, really good, though.
Yeah, but I mean, it wasn't good enough to keep him.
He was one of the 5 losses with the Commanders last year, but that's a much different, much more talented Pittsburgh Steelers team.
Exactly, and they have way more weapons over there. They had George Pickens, unless he was fighting somebody. But the thing is I just, like I said, they're pulling in every direction. They don't know which side of the team to bolster. Do they want to work on defense? Do they want to work on offense? I don't think they know that yet. Whereas the Commanders have basically found the cheat codes to this game. They've got, I mean, like I said earlier, they've got pieces everywhere. Bobby Wagner, Trey Amos, Von Miller. I mean,
Frankie Louvu. Let's not
Frankie
forget
Louvu. Like
Frank.
they got Deron Payne. They got all these guys that are just they're here. They're pumped. They love what they're doing. They love what they're seeing. And I don't think they're going to stop at anything to prove that. I really don't. I see them mowing over the New York Giants. And then again, that might have a sliver of bias in it. But at the end of the day, in sports analyzing this, I just don't see them pulling away too much. I see possibly them, if they get going properly, it being a 21-38 game. But again, that's a large maybe. Or we could get something like we seen with the Dallas Philly game where they both show up and it's just hatred all around, and then it's a 24-20 game. Do I think that's likely? No, I don't, but it could happen. Crazier things have happened. Tom Brady beat the Falcons in the Super Bowl, which was very unlikely, but it happened. So
being down 28-3 with less than 5 minutes left in the third, no less.
Yeah, and that doesn't happen, but it did. You know what I mean? So it's just crazier things can happen. But that's my stance on it. 38-14, possible 38-21. I don't think we scoring less than 38 points.
I'm going to stand on 31-17. That feels like a comfortable score. Again, I have a defensive score there. Two matchups that I think we really need to keep an eye on here. I think newly minted defensive end Jacob Martin, another addition to that defensive line group. I think he comes in, and I think he wreaks havoc, especially over that left side with no Andrew Thomas. I think that makes Russ's day it's going to be a rough afternoon. I also heavily want to watch how Terry McLaurin matches up with Deontay Banks, how often they are lined up over each other. I know Deontay, being salty that he was not drafted by Washington, has made it a personal vendetta, and twice last year in the second game, Giants v. Commanders, Terry scored on him, and the looks were there. That's a budding positional rivalry within the division, and I think Scary Terry does it once more. I think he absolutely owns Deontay Banks because of his honing of his craft. I also love the rapport that him and Jaden have, and Jaden has such a talented arm. NFL executives voted him the third most likely to start a franchise with a whopping 22 out of 31 votes. That's insane to say about a second-year quarterback. Everybody and their brother has him rated as the sixth best quarterback in the NFL, and he's only destined to take another step forward. Having a very continuous relationship with not just his old guys from last season. He has a new defender out there on his blind side. He gets all-pro left tackle Laramie Tunsil. That offensive line is rejuvenated. And it's only going to get better. Right guard Sam Cosmi comes back week 5. Pending his physical, pending him rehabbing the way that he is trending, that offensive line is only going to get better. I can't wait to see it play. Nick Allegretti is going to rotate into that spot for the time being, but it's going to be a lot of fun to watch because I think we're also going to see Andrew Wiley and probably Josh Connerly rotate inside and outside as well. So it's going to be a lot of fun to see this team play. 31-17. I'm absolutely amped. It's the first time I've been this excited about an NFL season in a very long time. But we're going to change from that right there to another divisional rivalry that I think is going to spark fireworks immediately. The Buccaneers and the Falcons, they clash 1 p.m. Eastern time tomorrow, and I think it's going to be lively, especially given the gravity of the injury report for the Buccaneers. Currently, the Buccaneers are without star wide receiver Chris Godwin. They are without safety Christian Egan. They are without all-star tackle Tristan Wirfs. They are also without cornerback Benjamin Morrison. Those guys are out. We also have questionable for nose tackle Vita Vea. That would be a devastating loss for that defense. Listed on the injury report as well, Mike Evans, Levante David, Hassan Riddick. big names all across the board. Kate Otten, notably one of Baker's biggest safety shields all last season. Cornerback Josh Hayes and running back Sean Tucker.
This is going to be a tough game for them.
It really is. It really is. And flipping over to the Atlanta Falcons, also banged up without safety DeMarco Helms. No Jack Nelson on that offensive line. And Darnell Mooney is questionable there. Also on the injury report, Ray McLeod, he was rested on Thursday. Darnell Mooney, he was limited in practice with a shoulder injury all week, basically.
Did you say he was arrested?
He was rested.
Rested.
Ray McLeod was rested on Thursday.
Okay.
Also listed on the injury report, we have cornerback Clark Phillips, defensive end Leonard Floyd. That would be very massive if he was not playing, but I think it was just rest. Also rested tackle Jake Matthews and David Onyemata, defensive tackle. So
man, this
banged up to start.
But I have to admit, dude, I think the Atlanta Falcons look a little bit better here, just because all of Baker Mayfield's weapons are not looking that good, unless Mike Evans comes in, which right now he's not listed. Chris Godwin Jr., a big piece of that wide receiver core. Mike Evans, a big piece of that wide receiver core. And then you got Levante David, who's banged up. You got Hassan Reddick, who's banged up. I mean, those guys, if they play, they're definitely probably not going to be 100%. Whereas on the Atlanta Falcons, you got a questionable Darnell Mooney. So even if he plays, he's still going to be banged up a little bit. He's not going to be 100%. And then you have Ray McLeod, who's basically not sure if he's going to be playing either. Again, not listed for me. I don't know how well they're going to be able to get through this. Hopefully, Ryan Miller or one of those backup guys can help out there, but hopefully someone can pick it up. You know what I mean?
For sure. Looking over the depth chart, just really quickly for the Atlanta Falcons, I do like this matchup a lot. And the big thing for me that stands out is having second-year quarterback Michael Penix Jr. under center. Obviously, you have Kyle Pitts. Huge having Kyle. Huge having Bijan Robinson. That offensive line looks really good. I also trust a lot in the pieces on this defense. Cornerback A.J. Terrell back. Jesse Bates at safety. Also huge to have him. And an underrated piece, doesn't get nearly enough coverage. Their nickelback Billy Bowman Jr. I think he's going to be really, really good down on the slot, especially with a banged up wide receiver core down in Tampa. I have this game 28-24 Falcons. I don't think it's going to be an offensive explosion, but I think there are going to be scores. The Falcons took their last meeting 31-26. That was October of last year.
I had this game, believe it or not, I had this game 21-24. Just because they're both banged up, it's going to have to be a defensive showing. Now, you can't count out, and that's in favor of the Buccaneers, by the way. You can't count out Baker Mayfield. That's why I have them winning slightly over the Atlanta Falcons. And with those key wide receiver pieces out, Mike Evans and Chris Godwin, you got Emeka Egbuka. I messed that up. I know I did.
Emeka Egbuka, who is going to be your NFL Offensive Rookie of the Year. You guys write that down.
Yep, write it down. I think this kid looks great. I mean, he had He's just a fast lightning bolt, and he had great route running in college. He did great in college. So
Best hands in college football last year.
100%. So that's why I have them over there. They have guys like Sterling Shepard in, and you can't count out Antoine. I think that's how you say his first name. Winfield Jr.
Antoine Winfield Jr. Yep.
I think that's how you say it. Yeah, and hopefully they get Levante David back. If that's the case, then I think those guys are going to be all right. But again, with the missing wide receiver core, and the other players that are just banged up, I don't see it being a heavy offense game. I definitely see it being a defensive battle for sure. So if you like defense, watch that one. And if that is all we are to say on that one, I would like to move over to a game that I am probably, other than the Commanders game, the most excited for. One of the greatest teams in the league, and the Detroit Lions, in Lambeau Field against the Green Bay Packers. And I'm going to say it. I'm going to. I got to. I have to. Micah Parsons. This man, is fantastic. Fantastic kid. Top 5 and defensive ends. They got guys like, Matthew Golden, who is probably the surest hands, one of the surest hands in the league. Did not drop a single catch in any of his targets in the preseason. Wonderful kid. Wonderful rookie. You got Josh Jacobs. You got Jaden Reed, Romeo Doubs. And then at quarterback, a man you come to know and love, Jordan Love. This team is good. This team looks good. They look good on paper. And on the flip side of that coin, you have none other than the Detroit Lions, who is one of the greatest teams who got knocked off by Washington in the playoffs last season. And they have a healthy Aiden Hutchinson. I'm so sorry. But here's the thing with the Lions, right? 2 new coordinators, brand new coordinators. You got new offensive coordinator John Morton. The reason they have 2 new ones, both coordinators took head coaching jobs. Ben Johnson, who was the previous offensive coordinator, took a head coaching job with the Bears. And then new defensive coordinator Kelvin Shepard is also debuting tomorrow. Aaron Glenn was the previous defensive coordinator who took a head coaching job at the Jets. Kelvin Shepard was the team's linebacker coach for 2 years, from 2022 all the way up to 2024. This Lions team looks good. You got Jahmyr Gibbs, who is one of the top running backs in the league. Jared Goff, Jamison Williams, who is one of the fastest wide receivers in the league. This team looks fantastic. I don't know how to grade it, just simply because this team, they both look amazing. They're both fairly healthy from what I've read, but I don't know. I think this is going to be another one of those close games, but I think I have the Detroit Lions coming out on top. I won't put a score to it because it's going to be a little too hard for me to score this one. That's a lie. I'll put a score to it. I have it 28-21 Lions over the Packers, simply because the Lions offense is just a force to be reckoned with, and that Packers defense is not going down without a fight for sure.
Absolutely, absolutely. I am in love with this matchup in week one because it is rivals, true rivals. The Lions, the Packers. There's not been a lot of time where they've gotten to be competitive against each other. So seeing both teams be as competitive as they are, it's going to be a lot of fun to watch. A lot of people, a lot of people are clamoring for this. Here are some notables on the injury report on that Green Bay Packers defense, though. Zane Anderson at safety, he is questionable. Nate Hobbs at cornerback, he is questionable. And we have Baron Zorel on that defensive line. He is questionable, but the biggest notable on this injury report, limited participation all week, newly acquired defensive end, freshly paid. Micah Parsons is notable as questionable with a back injury. That to me speaks volumes. If he is not 100%, how does that open the door for that Detroit offense? You're already banged up in the secondary. You're already banged up with Baron Sorrell being down with a knee. He's questionable. It's a lot of things because Jaden Reed questionable with a foot, Dontavian Wicks questionable with a calf, Savion Williams questionable with a hamstring, Jordan Love practicing with an ailing left thumb. It does not seem like the Green Bay Packers are on the right side of the injury bug to start the season. Now, there's a lot of questionables here on the Green Bay side. The Detroit Lions have outs. People are not playing. Tackle Jamarco Jones, he is not playing. Trevor Nowaski, he is not playing. That's linebacker. Sean Vaki, running back, he is not playing as well. Hamstring with him. So, both of these teams being bitten by the injury bug. However, I think the people listed on the Green Bay Packers injury report are much more substantial, especially seeing as how your star quarterback and your star freshly acquired defensive lineman are on that injury report. That's not what you want to see. You want those guys fully healthy coming into the first game of the season. I have Detroit winning this game 31-27. Do I think that Micah Parsons is going to make his stamp on this game? Absolutely. I do. But I think a freshly healthy Aiden Hutchinson does just as much, if not more, especially against a banged up offensive line. Elton Jenkins also hip injury, limited participation all week for the Green Bay Packers. So, as you know, former defensive coordinator Aaron Glenn, he got very fancy with Aiden his first few years, lined him up everywhere across the defensive line. I think that defense just thrives better with him in the lineup, and it's whenever he can line up wherever he wants to. Do I think they suffer a little bit not having Zadarius Smith? Slightly, I do. But there are pieces there, Alex Anzalone and things like that, that can take away from that. So I have the Lions in this game 31-27.
Not bad, not bad. So we're going to be moving on to another one of our games, the 49ers versus the Seahawks. This is going to be an all-out. I really do believe it's going to be more of an offensive game. Again, another one of those offensive games, just because you got Brock Purdy, you got CMC, you got guys that are just, ready to just show up and prove that once again they're going to be one of those people in the playoffs. And you got Brian Robinson Jr., who was just added. And Brian Robinson is one of those guys that no matter where he's at, he is going to do what Brian Robinson does, which is, run the rock. He is unstoppable when he gets going. So you got a guy. I mean, in a sense, it's the same way they were in the Commanders, where you had a guy like Austin Eckler, who was more of an over the top, throw the ball to him kind of guy. And then you have a guy that would be CMC in this scenario. Plus, I think that with CMC's slight calf injury, I think you're going to see Brian Robinson Jr. a lot more than you usually would if CMC was healthy.
I agree. Jumping over to the injury report for these two teams for this Week 1 matchup for these wonderful rivals that we love to see play twice a year. San Francisco is listing 2 players as doubtful. That is running back Jordan James with a finger injury, which also speaks to your point about B-Rob getting touches, and wide receiver Jordan Watkins. He is doubtful with an ankle. Questionable. Christian McCaffrey, all signs point to him going this Sunday. John Lynch spoke on that. Head coach Kyle Shanahan spoke on that. They're not overly worried about the calf injury. Precautionary mostly, more of a strain than soft tissue damage. For the Seattle Seahawks, wide receiver Jake Bobo is out with a concussion. Usain Nwasso out with a knee, and wide receiver Derek Young out with a hamstring injury. Those guys will not go. For me, this is going to be a good matchup. You love to see these sorts of teams go at each other. I have this game going in San Francisco's favor. I don't see it being a very high-scoring game. I have this game 24-20 in favor of the Niners.
Yeah, I have this game. Like I said, it's going to be more of an offensive game more than anything. Not high scoring. I think it's going to be somewhere similar. I'm going to go with something like 17-20 in favor of the Niners again. And that has a sliver of bias in it because I want to see B-Rob win his debut in San Francisco. Because, I mean, the guy deserves it, And what he's done in Washington is, I mean, like, he's been fantastic. Fantastic guy you can depend on no matter where he's at. So again, hope he's one of those guys that he gets what he deserves.